Brothers, you're going to have to come a bit closer to the front. I'm getting messages from the back that there isn't any space. Please come as close to the front as you can. All you need to do is move a couple of spaces forward. Just a couple of spaces.
Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat.
رحم الله من قرأ سورة الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا وعظيمنا وحبيب قلوبنا وشفيع نفوسنا أبي القاسم محمد. اللهم صل على وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين وأصحابه الغر الميامين. الحمد لله الذي جعلنا من المتمسكين بولاية سيدي ومولاي علي بن أبي طالب. اللهم صل على الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. أما بعد، قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم: إني تارك فيكم الثقلين، كتاب الله وعترتي أهل بيتي، ما إن تمسكتم بهما لن تضلوا بعدي أبدا، وأنهما لن يفترقا حتى يرد علي الحوض يوم القيامة. The first of our salawat in honor of Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. The second louder salawat in honor of Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Third, with your loudest voices, in honor of the Imam of our time, Imam Sahib al-Asr wa Zaman. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Respected brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. Hadith al-Thaqalain, or the narrative of the two weighty things, is without a doubt one of the most famous traditions in Islamic history, and at the same time is viewed as one of the most authentic traditions in Islamic history. A tradition that requires a thorough analysis, for without a doubt it's a tradition from which many important legal lessons may be learnt and many important political lessons may be acquired. Indeed, the tradition is a tradition which has been narrated in some of the most famous works in Islamic history. If you were to read the works of people like Muslim bin Hajjaj al-Nisapuri, or the works of the likes of Ahmad bin Hanbal's Musnad or al-Mustadrak ala al-Sahihain, amongst other works, you'll find that the tradition is clearly narrated of the two weighty things. That the tradition begins by saying, Inni tarikun fikum al-thaqalain, kitab Allah wa itrati ahl bayti. That the tradition normally begins with the Holy Prophet stating, I leave behind for you two weighty things. If you were to ask millions of Muslims in the world today, what is Hadith al-Thaqalain? What is it that the Prophet left behind, the two weighty things? You will find the biggest hoax, the biggest scam, and the biggest lie in Islamic history has been performed on millions of Muslims in the world. Because if you were to ask many Muslims, what are the Thaqalain? You will find many of them in the world saying that the Prophet said, I leave behind for you the Quran and my Sunnah. This particular narration, Quran and my Sunnah, is what unfortunately many Muslims in the world today have been deceived with. If you were to go to mosques in London, in Birmingham, Bradford, Blackburn, Burnley, if you were to go to Stockport or Sheffield across the UK, if you were to go to mosques in Pakistan or in India, if you were to go to mosques in Saudi Arabia, if you were to go to mosques in Europe or in Australasia, you'll find that there are hundreds of millions of Muslims who've been taught the wrong version of Hadith al-Thaqalain. That there are hundreds of millions of Muslims who've been deceived either arrogantly or ignorantly by the imams of their mosques. Because when you come to ask many Muslims, what is it that Rasulullah said, I leave behind for you? Many of them will turn around and say, brother, it's Quran and Sunnah. If you go to the Khatib of Salat al-Jum'ah in many mosques, he'll always say to the people, hold on to the Quran, hold on to the Sunnah. Rasulullah said, hold on to the Quran, hold on to the Sunnah. This is a hoax and a scam that has been performed on many people. How? Because Bukhari doesn't narrate this hadith, Muslim doesn't narrate this hadith, Ibn Majah doesn't narrate the hadith, Abu Dawud doesn't narrate the hadith, Tirmidhi doesn't narrate the hadith, Nasa'i doesn't narrate the hadith. In other words, the most famous books of Ahl Sunnah, the Sahih al-Sittah, not one of them has said that Rasulullah said, I leave behind for you Quran and Sunnah. You find therefore that this hoax and this scam has led many to grow up, unfortunately, by saying, when you ask them what are the Thaqalain, many will turn around and say Quran, Sunnah, Quran and Sunnah. Unfortunately, they've been lied to that this is meant to be a famous tradition narrated by the most famous scholars of Ahl Sunnah. Whereas I defy anyone to show me this tradition in Bukhari or in Muslim or in Tirmidhi or in Nasa'i. The tradition that's been narrated in the books of Ahl Sunnah, and it's called the tradition of Hadith al-Thaqalain or Hadith al-Thiqlain. If it's called Hadith al-Thiqlain, then the meaning is what? Thiql, in the idea of that which is heavy. That means Rasulullah saying, I leave behind for you that which is heavy, the Quran and the Ahl al-Bayt, something which is heavy for you to carry. If it's Hadith al-Thaqalain rather than Thiqlain, that means thaqal from that which is important. Therefore you find that this hadith in its origin, what is it? Rasulullah in its origin, in both Sunni and Shia sources, says, Inni tarikun fikum al-thaqalain. I am leaving behind for you two weighty things. Sometimes he says, Inni mukhallifun fikum al-thaqalain. Kitab Allah wa itrati ahl bayti. I leave behind for you the Quran and my progeny, the Ahl al-Bayt. ما إن تمسكتم بهما لن تضلوا بعد أبدا. While you hold on to these two, you will never go astray after me. وأنهما لن يفترقا حتى يرد علي الحوض يوم القيامة. And that they will never separate from each other until you return to me on the pool of Kawthar on the day of judgment. The original Hadith al-Thaqalain therefore is what? I leave behind for you the Quran and my Ahl al-Bayt, not the Quran and my Sunnah. And would you believe I leave behind for you Quran and my Ahl al-Bayt is narrated in the main books of Ahl Sunnah through 39 different chains. 39 different chains narrate that Rasulullah said, I leave behind for you, O people, the Quran and my Ahl al-Bayt, my Ahl al-Bayt, my Ahl al-Bayt. In our books, 82 different chains. And therefore the hadith is classified as mutawatir. Meaning what? Meaning the same hadith has been narrated from so many different chains that the hadith becomes a hujjah to be used. Therefore this hadith, why should we dissect it tonight? The first reason is this hadith has political ramifications. If Rasulullah says, I leave behind for you the Quran and my Ahl al-Bayt, then politically I understand who are the authority after Rasulullah. That after Rasulullah left this world with the Quran, who is the authority that looks after the Quran? Who is the authority that protects the Quran? Secondly, legally I realize if I want to know the laws of Islam, who do I go to know the laws of Islam? How do I originally get to the Sunnah of Rasulullah? Through who did Rasulullah tell me to hold on to for me to get to his Sunnah? Therefore tonight, let us examine in depth Hadith al-Thaqalain. And for every listener of this, be it on television or on the internet, this lecture is a hujjah on you for the day of judgment. that you can never say, I didn't know about Hadith al-Thaqalain, the real one, not the hoax that's been fed in Friday prayers for years, that Rasulullah said, I live behind the Quran, my Sunnah. The real Hadith al-Thaqalain is Quran and my Ahl al-Bayt. And I'd like to examine this in the following stages. Number one, according to Islamic history, who exactly are the Ahl al-Bayt? And are the wives of Rasulullah included? Number two, how does the event of Mubahala prove who exactly are the members of the Ahl al-Bayt? Number three, what is the origin of the Hadith, Quran and Sunnah? And how is it clear that this Hadith is not an authentic Hadith? Number four, did the Imams of Ahl al-Bayt ever refer to themselves as being part of Hadith al-Thaqalain? Number five, how does Hadith al-Thaqalain prove that the Imams of Ahl al-Bayt are all ma'soom? Number six, how does Hadith al-Thaqalain prove that the Imams of Ahl al-Bayt's ilm is equal to the Quran? Number seven, how does Hadith al-Thaqalain prove that the Imams of Ahl al-Bayt are chosen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Number eight, how does Hadith al-Thaqalain give me an answer when I see two Muslim armies fighting each other? And number nine, how did the companions of Imam al-Hussein use Hadith al-Thaqalain to realize which side was right and which side was on the wrong? Let's examine this and seek to dissect the topic in depth. As we said, the original Hadith al-Thaqalain is the Holy Prophet saying, Inni tarikun fikum al-Thaqalain, Kitab Allah wa itrati Ahl Bayti. Someone asks, who are the Ahl al-Bayt in this Hadith? That if Rasulullah says, I leave behind for you two weighty things, and you have to hold on to them and you'll never go astray, the Ahl al-Bayt, who are the Ahl al-Bayt? When we want to know what the answer is to who are the Ahl al-Bayt, we go straight to the Quran. We look for the words Ahl al-Bayt in the Quran, and the words are clear in one ayah in particular. In Surah 33, verse number 33, you find a clear reference to the Ahl al-Bayt, where the verse clearly states, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى. This verse has the Ahl al-Bayt clearly mentioned, as in if anyone comes to ask me that when Muslim in his Sahih says, Rasulullah said in his farewell speech that I leave behind for you the Quran and my Ahl al-Bayt, when Muslim says that, who are the Ahl al-Bayt? I say look at Surah 33 verse 33. In Surah 33 verse number 33, you find the narration is clearly mentioned. The verse mentions what? The Ahl al-Bayt. Someone says, but hold on, the verse begins by speaking about the wives of Rasulullah. As in, you know, many Shia, when they quote Surah 33 verse 33, they quote it thinking that the ayah begins innama. The ayah doesn't begin innama. The ayah begins what? The ayah begins وَقَرْنَ فِي بُيُوتِكُنَّ وَلَا تَبَرَّجْنَ تَبَرُّجَ الْجَاهِلِيَةِ الْأُولَى. The ayah begins by talking about the wives of Rasulullah. The wives of Rasulullah, the ayah begins by saying, stay in your houses and do not display yourselves like you did in the days of ignorance. Yes? وَقَرْنَ فِي بُيُوتِكُنَّ وَلَا تَبَرَّجْنَ تَبَرُّجَ الْجَاهِلِيَّةِ الْأُولَى وَأَقِمْنَا الصَّلَاةَ وَآتِينَا الزَّكَاةَ وَأَطِعْنَا اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ. Then the gender changes. At the beginning of the ayah, it's talking about the wives of Rasulullah, there's no doubt. So someone comes up to us and he says, look, you people say Muhammad, Ali, Fatima, Hassan and Hussein are the Ahl al-Bayt. You've got it wrong. You say, what do you mean I've got it wrong? Say the Ahl al-Bayt are Rasulullah, are Muhammad, Ali, Fatima, Hassan, Hussein, and are who? The wives of Rasulullah as well. You say to them, why? They say, because the ayah begins talking about the wives. Our first reply is, yes, the ayah begins in the feminine, talking about the wives. But then there's a change into the masculine. Notice the ayah begins, قَرْنَا بُيُوتِكُنَّ تَبَرَّجْنَا. It's all Arabic feminine, yes? Then it becomes, إِنَّمَا يُرِيدُ اللَّهِ لِيُذْهِبَ عَنْكُمْ يُطَهِّرَكُمْ. There is now a movement from the feminine to the masculine. It means that it's not just talking about the wives, it's now talking about the masculine. Someone says, yes, but in Arabic, if you talk in the plural, masculine and feminine are both included. We reply, thank you very much. Let's look at this ayah. When was it revealed? According to Sahih Muslim, according to Tirmidhi, Aisha narrates, and Salama, two wives of Rasulullah. Do we agree? Aisha and Salama, they both narrate. And it's clear the narration. They both narrate that Rasulullah was what? He had come to the house of Fatima. He wasn't feeling well. And the narration mentions that Fatima al-Zahra bought him a Yemeni cloak. Yes? You've heard of Hadith al-Kisa. Kisa is the Yemeni cloak, or the cloak of the black camel hair. She bought him the cloak. Then Imam al-Hassan smelled the fragrance of his grandfather. He entered. Imam al-Hussein entered, because there is no fragrance like the fragrance of Rasulullah. They all entered. Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen entered. Rasulullah prayed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah answered his dua with the ayah of the Quran. إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. Now, Salama then asks Rasulullah, Ya Rasulullah, can I join these 5? Please listen to this point. Because if the wives are included, then he would say to her, come and join, yes? He said to her, Salama, you are good, but this is for these 5. Allah wants to keep away from them all impurities and purify them a thorough purification. I remember someone once coming to me and saying, Ahl al-Bayt are not pure. I said, why? He said, because Allah said, إِنَّمَا يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ لِيُذْهِبَ. Allah wants to remove from you all impurity. لِيُذْهِبَ is not remove, it's keep away. Remove means someone's dirty and you're removing the dirt. Keep away means whenever dirt wants to come near them, there is a grace from Allah that blocks that from touching them. Therefore, Aisha, Salama, both of them narrate the hadith. And you know what's ironic? Not one wife of Rasulullah ever once said that ayah was about me. You see, if Aisha thought that ayat al-Tathir, the ayah of purification about Ahl al-Bayt was about her, she could have used it against Imam Ali at the Battle of Jamal, yes? She could have stood in front of Ali ibn Abi Talib and said, listen, I'm the one who ayat al-Tathir was revealed about. Salama could have used it. Hafsa could have used it. Juwayriyah could have used it. Many wives could have used it. Not one wife of Rasulullah ever said we were the Ahl al-Bayt. Never. Yes, they are members of the household. You can't deny. At the end of the day, your wife is a member of your household. But in terms of an ayah which purifies you and an ayah which keeps away from you all impurity, none of the wives ever themselves said. Even go further, Muslim, in Sahih Muslim, when Rasulullah says, Inni tarikun fikum al-thaqalain kitab Allah wa atati ahl bayti, when Rasulullah says, I leave behind for you the Quran and my ahl al-bayt, Muslim in his Sahih mentions that Zayd bin Arqam says, we asked Rasulullah, Ya Rasulullah, are your wives part of this ahl al-bayt? Yes, it's a clear question. And for those of you who want to see the hadith clearly, go on Google tonight, type Sahih Muslim. The first link that comes up saying Sahih Muslim, click on it. On the top right hand corner there's a search box. In the search box type Khum, K-H-U-M-M, Ghadir Khum. Type it, the whole hadith comes out. It says, I leave behind for you the Quran, my Ahl al-Bayt. Zayd says, Ya Rasulullah, who are your Ahl al-Bayt? Are your wives included? Rasulullah says, yes, they are part of my household, but they are not members of the Ahl al-Bayt. For the Ahl al-Bayt are those for whom zakat is forbidden. Sadaqah. Can Fatima al-Zahra take sadaqah? Can Aisha take sadaqah? Yes. Aisha can take sadaqah. She's not of the Sadat of the line of Ahl al-Bayt. Fatima al-Zahra cannot take sadaqah. Ali ibn Abi Talib cannot take sadaqah. The Sadat of Al Muhammad can't take sadaqah. Rasulullah wanted his family to be honored, that they don't beg people for charity. Whereas Aisha and Hafsa and the rest can take. So the hadith in Muslim says, Ya Rasulullah, are your wives part of the Ahl al-Bayt? But when you say to us, I leave behind for you Quran and my Ahl al-Bayt, are the wives part? He said, no, because zakat is not forbidden for them. Ahl al-Bayt are those for whom zakat is forbidden. Therefore, those who came and said that when Rasulullah said, I leave behind for you Quran and my Ahl al-Bayt, and that my Ahl al-Bayt means the wives, not at all. The wives are not included. And even those who came and said Ayat al-Tathir is about the wives, for goodness sake, the previous 4 verses before Ayat al-Tathir, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is attacking the wives of Rasulullah's behavior with Rasulullah. To the extent Rasulullah was even saying, listen, if you want dunya, I'll give you dunya and I'll let you go. How could you attack them and then suddenly say, you know what, I'll purify all of you? Clearly there's a difference between who's being attacked and who's being purified. And the clearest proof that Ahl al-Bayt are Muhammad, Ali, Fatima, Hassan and Hussein is in the event of Mubahala after the event of Kisa. You see, in the event of Kisa, you could say yes, Muhammad, Ali, Fatima, Hassan, Hussein. Someone says, well, I don't trust you. Say, okay, let's go to the event of Mubahala and see who did Rasulullah take with him. In the event of Mubahala, when the Christians of Najran came to meet Rasulullah, when they came to meet Rasulullah, they said to him, oh Muhammad, what's your opinion about Jesus? He said, we believe Jesus is a prophet of God. He asked them, what's your opinion? They said, we believe he's the son of God. He said to them, why? They said, because Jesus had no father, so his father must be God. So the Quran replied by saying in Surah 3 verse 59, Inna mathala Isa inda Allahi ka mathali Adam. The example of Jesus in the eyes of God is the same as Adam. Adam had no father, Adam had no mother. So who should be the son of God, Adam or Jesus? Adam never had a father or mother. When they disagreed, the Quran said, okay, if these people disagree, then let's do a mubahala. And the Quran mentioned the ayah, فَمَنْ حَاجَّكَ فِيهِ مِنْ بَعْدِ مَا جَاءَكَ مِنَ الْعِلْمِ فَقُلْ تَعَالَوْا نَدْعُ أَبْنَاءَنَا وَأَبْنَاءَكُمْ وَنِسَاءَنَا وَنِسَاءَكُمْ وَأَنفُسَنَا وَأَنفُسَكُمْ ثُمَّ نَبْتَهِلْ فَنَجْعَلْ لَعْنَةَ اللَّهِ عَلَى الْكَاذِبِينَ. Yes? When the next day came, the mubahala was to put a curse on the disbelievers. When the next day came, many of the Sahaba were thinking, is it me he's gonna take? Is it me? The ladies were thinking, is it me? Because the Quran says, bring your sons, bring your woman, and bring yourself. Yes? So whoever's gonna go are the 5 most important people in this religion. Because in a mubahala you are saying, Ya Allah, curse us if we are wrong. Whoever you're gonna take with you are the 5 most important people in the religion. As his sons, he took Hassan and Hussein. As his woman, he took Fatima al-Zahra. As himself, he took Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib. The second time that Ahl al-Bayt, 5 of them, appeared in one place as a representation of the religion of Islam was in the event of Mubahala. Did he take any wives? Because if the wives are part of the Ahl al-Bayt, there were 9 wives alive at the time. You have a great choice of wives. Wallah, none of the wives come near the dust of Fatima al-Zahra. There are many wives alive, but Fatima al-Zahra was more than enough to represent that religion. Therefore, when someone comes and asks you, when Rasulullah said, Inni tarikun fikum al-thaqalain, I leave behind for you 2 weighty things, Kitab Allah wa itrati ahl bayti, the book of Allah, and now listen to this line, and my itra, the Ahl al-Bayt. You know how important this word itra is? You see, had he said, I leave behind for you Kitab wa Ahl al-Bayt, then people could have said, yes, the wives are included. When Rasulullah said, Kitab Allah wa itrati, the book of Allah and the progeny from my family, it meant what? It meant not just anyone from my family. It has to be someone who gave us a progeny which continued. Because there are some wives couldn't give kids, so why would I want her to be someone who is with the Quran? She never gave Rasulullah any children. There's no itra coming from her. Whoever's gonna be the Ahl al-Bayt, the hadith mentioned, I leave behind for you the Quran and my itra, a progeny from Ahl al-Bayt. That progeny are the Sadat from Fatima al-Zahra alayhi salam, the Imams of Ahl al-Bayt from Fatima al-Zahra. Therefore, the Ahl al-Bayt were Muhammad, Ali, Fatima, Hassan, Hussein, and of course the sons of Hussein. Someone asked the question over here. They say, okay, well, if the hadith is Kitab Allah wa itrati, why do our Sunni brothers all say Kitab Allah wa sunnati? Yes? I guarantee you, this Friday, across the Muslim world, I guarantee you, this Friday coming up, across the Muslim world, many of the Maulanas in the mosques dominated by Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah will at one part or another in their khutbah say, Rasulullah said, I leave behind for you 2 weighty things, Quran and Sunnah. Quran and Sunnah. Every Sunni lecturer cannot complete a lecture unless he says, hold on to Quran and Sunnah. The biggest lie to cover up the people from coming to Ahl al-Bayt alayhim as-salam. And I'm frank on that. I'm frank on this. If you want to see the flags of Bani Umayyah and Bani Abbas, yes, held up, it's by those arrogant, lying, deceiving scholars who come out and say Quran and Sunnah while they know the real hadith is Quran and Ahl al-Bayt. What is it? You have a grudge against Al Muhammad? Why do you have a grudge? What's wrong with narrating the hadith as it is in Muslim? You see, when I come to my brothers in Ahl Sunnah, I ask them, Quran and Sunnah, where is it mentioned? Please tell me. Where? Bukhari? No. Muslim? No. Tirmidhi? No. Nasa'i? No. Abu Dawood? No. Ibn Majah? No. So if a hadith that important couldn't find itself in those 6, yes, it couldn't find itself in those 6, why are you lying to the whole world about a hadith you know is not even narrated in your 6 most important books? Why the lie? Why the deception of innocent Muslims? Not telling them the truth. Why the lie? Do you know where Quran and Sunnah is mentioned? Malik bin Anas has a book called the Muwatta. Yes? You know, you have Abu Hanifa and Malik and Shafi'i and Ahmad bin Hanbal. Yes? The 4 Imams of fiqh. He has a book called Al-Muwatta. He mentions the hadith that Rasulullah said, Inni tarikun fikum al-thaqalain, kitab Allah wa sunnati. He mentions it, not Bukhari. Bukhari has no interest in that hadith. Muslim says, kitab Allah wa itrati ahl bayti. Malik narrates this. And do you know how he narrates it? Wallah, I ask all of you to go and read how he narrates it. I had been told that Rasulullah said. Normally in a hadith, you need to say an, yes? Or narrated from, correct? You narrate who the narrators are. You know what he says? Balaghani. It was reported to me that Rasulullah. Malik, you lived 100 years after Rasulullah. How was it reported to you? Which connection? Which connection? When you normally give a hadith, you say, for example, X narrated from Y, who narrated from Z, and who gave us this. Correct or no? Malik in the Muwatta, he says, it was informed to me that Rasulullah said. 100 years after Rasulullah, if anyone can say it was informed to me, then this is going to be easy. I'll say now, 1,400 years later, it was informed to me that Rasulullah said this hadith. You find Albani, if he's being kind, he says the hadith is mu'dal. Meaning what? Meaning 2 or more of the narrators are omitted. Others say the hadith is marfu', that there is an unbelievable jump. Others say no, mursal. In other words, what do you find? There's not one of the scholars of Ahl Sunnah who could come out and say the hadith is sahih. Why? Because it's not in Bukhari or Muslim. It's not there. Quran and Sunnati is not there. Someone says, well, Shaykh al-Saduq narrates Quran and Sunnati. I don't deny. Rasulullah on one occasion may have said, I leave behind the Quran my Sunnah. Of course, I have to hold on to the Sunnah of Rasulullah. It's not rocket science that I have to hold on to the Sunnah. The Quran tells me, وَمَا آتَاكُمُ الرَّسُولُ فَخُذُوهُ وَمَا نَهَاكُمْ عَنْهُ فَانْتَهُوا. Whatever Rasulullah gives you, take. And whatever he prohibits for you, leave it. But those who come every Friday prayer, and wallah, for those who are watching this video on the YouTube, or those who watch this video on television or on the internet, wallah, reassess yourself that all these years you've been lied to. You've been told Rasulullah said, oh people, I am now dying, I leave behind for you that which you'll never go astray, the Quran, my Sunnah. You've been lied to. Rasulullah said, I leave behind for you the Quran, my Ahl Bayt. There is not one authentic narration of Quran and Sunnah. 39, listen to me again, 39 different chains for Quran and Ahlul Bayt in Sunni books. Why do I take the one and I neglect the 39? Have you ever heard logic like that in your life or no? Ask any of your Sunni friends tonight, any of them, and ask them sincerely, because at the end of the day we want the whole world to come towards Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam, don't we? Ask any of them, say, brother, you know you once told me Quran and Sunnah, can you show me it in Bukhari? Okay, not Bukhari, show me it in Muslim. When he gets to Muslim, he'll read, Inni tarikun fikum al-thaqalain, kitab Allah wa itrati ahl bayti. I leave behind for you, what? 2 weighty things. Quran and Ahl Bayt. And listen to what then Rasulullah says. ما إن تمسكتم بهما لن تضلوا بعد أبدا. If you hold on to these two, you will never go astray afterwards. Why? Because Rasulullah could not bear seeing his ummah go astray after him. He wanted to make sure that he gave them a guidance. And you know why this is important? Because sometimes our brothers in Ahl Sunnah, what do they say to us? Ghadir is not in the Quran. Ghadir is not in the Quran. And you've got nothing on Imamah in the Quran. So we don't believe in your Imamah concept. Okay. In your book, did Rasulullah say, I leave behind Quran and my Ahlul Bayt? Yes. So that means the authority after him is the Quran and the Ahlul Bayt. Finished. Authority after Rasulullah's Quran and Ahlul Bayt. You find that did the Imams of Ahlul Bayt refer to this? Did the Imams of Ahlul Bayt say that Hadith al-Thaqalain refers to them? Yes. On many occasions. The Imams of Ahlul Bayt mentioned that Hadith al-Thaqalain referred to them. Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen, when Umar done the Shura of 6, he said, did not Rasulullah say, I leave behind for you the Quran and my Ahlul Bayt? Are we not the Ahlul Bayt? Had Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib said it was Quran and Sunnah, then Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib would have said, you know what, Rasulullah said that we leave behind Quran and Sunnah, it's up to you who you choose. He said, Rasulullah said, I leave behind for you the Quran and my Ahlul Bayt. Hold on to them, you'll never go astray. Do you know why this hadith is important? There are 3 reasons why it's important. The first reason it's important is that it proves the isma of Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam. Allahumma salli ala. Let's have a second salawat, inshallah. A third loud salawat, inshallah. Allahumma salli ala. Many times people come up to me and say, I can't prove that the Imams were infallible. We say that the Imams are ma'soom. You know, Sayyid Ammar, I can't prove it. How do I explain to my friends that the Imams of Ahlul Bayt, Ali, Hassan, Hussein, how do I prove to my friends that they're ma'soom? The reply is Hadith al-Thaqalain. Quran is ma'soom or no? Quran is ma'soom? Are there errors in the Quran? No. Is the Quran protected from error? Yes. Can you find me a single mistake in the Quran? No. Go to any Muslim in the world today, say, are there errors? No. Is there a mistake? No. Did Allah protect it from mistakes? Yes. Therefore, whatever Rasulullah says is next to the Quran means it's as infallible as the Quran. If Rasulullah says, Inni tarikum fikum al-thaqalain, kitab Allah wa itrati ahl bayti, what's he saying? He's saying that in the same way the Quran is ma'soom from error, Al-Muhammad are ma'soom from error as well. In the same way the Quran is protected from error, the Quran has no mistakes, whatever's next to the Quran has no mistakes as well. Therefore, when someone comes and asks you, what's the first benefit of Hadith al-Thaqalain? Say the first benefit is Rasulullah was telling his whole ummah, just in case you doubt Ali, Fatima, Hassan and Hussein, know that they are the equal to the Quran. The Quran is ma'soom, they are ma'soom as well. That's number 1. Number 2, the Quran is Allah's ilm on earth or no? Yes? The Quran is Allah's ilm on earth. Do we agree? In the written. The Quran has the most extensive ilm. Do we agree? The highest ilm. Do we agree? Science, history, economics, highest ilm. Do we agree? Whatever's alongside the Quran is that ilm manifested as a human being. If the Quran is the ilm of Allah, yes, and I'm not narrating this from Shia books, from Sunni books, Quran and Ahlul Bayt. If the Quran is Allah's ilm on earth, and the Quran is Allah's guidance on earth, that means whoever's next to the Quran is the Quran walking on the earth. Did not Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib at Siffin, when they put the Quran through the spear, say, I'm the walking Quran? What did he mean when he said, I'm the walking Quran? That you people think you could put a spear through the Quran while me and my family are alive. The Quran is alive forever. Therefore, number 2, the ilm of the Quran. Number 3, was the Quran chosen by Allah? Or was it chosen by human beings? Did the human beings one day go to Borders or Waterstones and say, you know what, that book looks alright, let's put it as a guide for mankind? Yes? Or did they all turn up in an election and choose the Quran? No. They made sure they knew that Allah had chosen the Quran. Allah had designated the Quran. Allah had put a nas that the Quran is a guidance for mankind. If therefore the Quran is chosen by Allah, whoever's alongside the Quran is chosen by Allah as well. If the Quran is put as a nas from Allah, and that's why in the school of Ahlul Bayt, imamah is based on three: ilm, nas, and asma. If ever anyone asks you what's imamah, ilm, which is Allah giving His knowledge to certain personalities. Nas, those personalities designated by Allah on earth. Three, asma, that those personalities are protected from error according to the Quran. Anyone who comes and tells me I don't believe in asma of the imams, or the ilm of the imams, or the nas of the imams, I say, do you believe in the ilm of the Quran? Do you believe in the nas of the Quran? Do you believe in the asma of the Quran? So what do you say about those who Rasulullah said are with the Quran? Why will you hold on to them? You'll never ever go astray in your life. And that's why you find very clearly someone says, but what if we took Quran and Sunnati? I don't mind. You can't learn the Sunnah of Rasulullah except from the Imams of Ahlul Bayt. No doubt. Imam al-Rada, when he narrates the hadith, what did he used to say? I heard from my father, Musa ibn Ja'far, from his father, Ja'far ibn Muhammad, from Muhammad al-Baqir, from Ali ibn al-Hussein, from Hassan, from Ali, from Rasulullah, from Jibreel, from the Lord of the heavens. I want to know the Sunnah of Rasulullah. Who better than Muhammad and Al Muhammad to know about the Sunnah of Rasulullah? Ahlul Bayt are the ones who teach me the Sunnah. And you know, fourthly, why Quran and Ahlul Bayt is vital? It's because when I receive a piece of knowledge and I'm not sure, one Muslim tells me one thing, another Muslim tells me another, then I can go to the ship of Al Muhammad and I'll know the answer. What do I mean? One Muslim comes to me and says, Taraweeh is the best thing on earth. He says, Taraweeh is the best. Taraweeh is a good bid'ah. Another one comes to me and says, Taraweeh is haram to pray. They're both Muslim. Yes? In the eyes of everyone, they're both Muslim. The one who tells me Taraweeh is a good bid'ah, and the other one who tells me Taraweeh is haram. I'm Muslim. I'm watching this. Taraweeh good, Taraweeh haram. I ask, who's the one saying Taraweeh is good? Is he the one Rasulullah told me to hold on to? No. The one who's saying Taraweeh is haram, who is he? Is he from Ahlul Bayt? Yes. So I know, therefore, when I have a problem in fiqh, I go to Ahlul Bayt to resolve the problem. Someone comes and tells me, for example, someone came to me and he said that an act like what? Someone came and said to me that as-salatu khayrun min an-nawm in adhan. Someone came and said you should say it in adhan. An Imam of Ahlul Bayt says, no, it's haram to say it in adhan. But that person is saying, but it's good, prayer is better than sleep, it's good for you. He's a Muslim, the Imam's a Muslim. I'm confused. Quran I've held on to, yes? But now I want to know, is salat khayrun min an-nawm part or not part? So what do I then do? I look at the one who says it's not part. Is he from Ahlul Bayt? Yes. Then I know Salatul Khayrun min an-Nawm is not part of the adhan. Every single legal issue, when a Muslim had an issue, why are you going to those outside of Ahlul Bayt when Ahlul Bayt are amongst you? Hadith al-Thaqalain was to tell you that while both of you agree on Quran to back up your answer, if you're uncertain, ask who is from Ahlul Bayt giving me the verdict and who's not. Abu Hanifa tells me something and Ja'far al-Sadiq tells me something. I go to Abu Hanifa when Ahlul Bayt is there. Let me give you another example. If in a battle I see one side reading Quran, the others reading Quran, they both agree on one of the weighty things, Quran. Do you agree? I'm confused. I see her reading Quran and I see him reading Quran. I see her praying and I see him praying. And I'm in the middle of the battle of Jamal and I don't know whose side to be on. And they came to Imam Ali on that day, said, I see on one side Talha, Zubair and Aisha, on the other side you and Ammar bin Yasir. Who do I join? The answer was a beautiful answer. Don't look at the personalities, then look at the truth. First look at the truth and then judge the personalities. Yes? When I'm looking at both sides, I'm confused. Ali or those against Ali? Rasulullah said, Inni tarikun fikum al-thaqalain. I've left behind for you two weighty things. Kitab Allah, Quran, Quran, and Ahl Bayti, straight to Ali ibn Abi Talib. Yes? No confusion. I held on to where Ali ibn Abi Talib is, because Ali ibn Abi Talib is the Ahl al-Bayt, the representative of Rasulullah. I'm not the one who's saying you have to hold on. Rasulullah saying, hold on to the Ahl al-Bayt with the Quran. I'm at Siffin, Amr ibn al-As, Muawiyah, Ali ibn Abi Talib. Quran, 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 Quran. I'm confused. Who do I hold on to? Hold on to what Rasulullah said. That when you see two Muslim armies are fighting, both claim to be Muslim. Yes? Then look for Al Muhammad and hold on to Al Muhammad. For I told you, I am leaving behind for you two weighty things. ما إن تمسكتم بهما. If you have tamassuk of them, لن تضلوا بعد أبدا. You will never go astray. That's why Ammar bin Yasir knew, I have not gone astray on Siffin. Abu Dhar, Salman, Ammar, Hujr, Maytham, they were all confident. Why? Because they understood Hadith al-Thaqalain. They held on to Hadith al-Thaqalain, and they made sure that they hadn't deviated. If I was there on the day of Jamal or Siffin, I see both of them with the Quran. You know, if I was confused, what I do straight away? They both agreed on the Quran. But where is Ahl al-Bayt? Where's Hassan and Hussein? There they are with their father. Let me go and stand with them, for they are the path of truth. And that's why when it came to Karbala, that was a major issue, which was an issue of confusion. Why? Umar bin Sa'ad is praying Namaz al-Shab on the night of the 10th. And you know, in his tashahud, he's praising the grandfather of the man he's going to kill. Umar bin Sa'ad, Shimr bin al-Jawshan, all of these knew Quran inside out. Hussein bin Ali, Quran inside out. If I was there on that day, I'd look around, I'll be like, Quran, Quran, Namaz, Namaz. But where's Ahl al-Bayt? Had Rasulullah said Quran and Sunnah only, I would say, Ya Rasulullah. And then on the day of Jamal, they both claim to have your Sunnah. On the day of Siffin, they both claim. And on the day of Karbala, they both say they are protecting your Sunnah. But Ya Rasulullah, I know you never said that. You said Quran and Ahl al-Bayt. And on the 10th of Muharram, that's why the companions of Imam al-Hussein, each one of them pointed to the army of Umar bin Sa'ad, telling them, you know what? You got the Quran part of it right. You forgot the other weighty thing. That's why you're doomed. John, black Abyssinian slave, stands in front of Umar bin Sa'ad and the whole of the opposition, all of them praying namaz. You've seen in the world today, there are those whose namaz is long, but they are animals on earth. You know them. He sees Umar bin Sa'ad praying. Yes? Umar bin Sa'ad, oh, praising Rasulullah and praying and so on. What are you going to do tomorrow? He said, tomorrow I'm going to kill Hussein bin Ali. And he recited his lines of poetry. Each companion of Imam al-Hussein stood in front of Umar bin Sa'ad's army, and in each of their poetry they make it clear, we are not just holding on to the Quran, we're dying for that other thaqal with the Quran. You have neglected the Quran. You know what he said? كيف ترى الكفار ضرب الأسود بالسيف ضربا عن بني محمد أذب عنهم باللسان واليد أرجو بها الجنة يوم المورد. Listen to what he says. How does the kafir see the strike of a black man? I don't see you guys as Muslims. A Muslim would not attack or neglect Ahl al-Bayt. How does a kafir see the strike of a black man? A strike with a sword to protect the family of Muhammad. I've annihilated myself for them with my tongue and with my hands. All I ask is for a Jannah for me when I die. That's why when Abu Abdullah picked up his head when he lay on the ground, he looked at Imam al-Hussein. He said, what an honor it is for me that I can meet your mother Fatima al-Zahra and say that I laid your life for one of the Thaqalain, the Ahl al-Bayt. That was him, yes? Then there was an 11-year-old boy. How old? 11 years old. His mother pushed him. She said, I'll be disappointed with you if you don't defend the son of Fatima. His mother pushed him. Wallah, when his mother pushed him, do you know what happened? He came out, then Imam al-Hussein looked at him, he said, young man, you don't have to defend me. He said, no, you are my master, I want to defend you. Yes, Rasulullah had said, I leave behind for you Quran Ahl Bayt. I've defended Quran, now I want to protect Ahl Bayt. Imam al-Hussein said, no, go back to your mother. You know when he went back to his mother came out. She said, Aba Abdullah. Ya Allah. She said, Aba Abdullah, your mother Fatima has something to show. What do I have to show? So he looked at her. He could see a mother who wanted to give her son away. But the boy, do you know what he said? Wallah, his lines pierced through the opposition. You people have held on to the Quran, but you're liars. You've neglected Ahl al-Bayt, so you have not held on to what Rasulullah said. He said, Amiri Husaynun wa ni'mal amir. My prince is Hussein, and what a prince. Sururu Fuad al-Bashir al-Nadir. He's the one who gave the peace to the heart of Rasulullah. Yes? Ali wa Fatimatu walidah. Ali and Fatima, his parents. فَهَلْ تَعْلَمُونَ لَهُمْ النَّظِيرُ. Do you know an equal to him alive? Is there an equal to him? Is he not what Rasulullah left for all of you? Wallah, he went out, that young boy, they massacred him. And his mother was just proud, and then she said, I wish I had more to give to Fatima. May that be the dream of every mother in this hall. But do you know who gave the most powerful lines on the 10th of Muharram? Zuhair ibn al-Qayn. Allah. Zuhair ibn al-Qayn gave lines so powerful. You know, the most of the opposition that was killed on the 10th of Muharram was from the sword of Zuhair. Zuhair ibn al-Qayn killed more than anyone on the 10th of Muharram. Ferocious warrior. One narration mentions that he had hidden his faith out of fear for a while. Others say no, he was Uthmani in his belief. There's a difference of historical opinion, and that on the way to Karbala, Imam al-Hussein had asked for him to come and join him. Yes? And that his wife Daylam, his wife saw Zuhair walking outside around the tent. She looked at him, she said, Zuhair, what are you doing? You seem confused. He said, a message has come to me. She said to him, from whom? He said, from the son of Fatima al-Zahra. So she looked at him and she said, what are you waiting for? He said, he's asked me to go and join him. She said, Zuhair, the son of Fatima has asked you to join him, and you're here with me? As he was about to leave to Imam al-Hussein, as he was about to leave, you know what she said? She said, Zuhair, I want one favor from you. He said, what is it? She said, if Zainab is taken as a prisoner, can she take me with her? Ya Sayyida Zainab, Ya Sayyida Zainab, that beautiful shrine in Sham, Ya Allah, allow us to return. He said to her, do not worry, my darling. On the night of the 10th of Muharram, Zuhair ibn al-Qayn overheard Imam al-Hussein say to Zainab, she was asking him, are you sure these companions are all ready to die for you? He said, yes, I'm sure. You know when Zuhair heard this, wallah, it hurt him. He came to Imam al-Hussein. He said, Aba Abdullah, let me tell you one thing. If I was born and they killed me, they cut my body into 1,000 pieces, I don't mind coming back 1,000 times fighting for you. Again and again and again. Imam al-Hussein embraced Zuhair those final moments. Yes, he embraced him, he hugged him. Zuhair bid farewell to his wife Daylam. It was hard for him to bid farewell, but he knew that he had to fight for the Thaqalain, the Quran and the Ahl al-Bayt. So he came out. Do you know what he said in his lines? أنا زهير وأنا ابن القين أضربكم بالسيف عن حسيني إن حسينا أحد السبطين من عترة النبي الزكي الزيني ذاك رسول الله غير المين يا ليت نفسي قسمت قسمين. Do you know what he said? He said, I am Zuhair and I am the son of Qayn, and I will strike you with a sword defending Hussein. Isn't Hussein one of the two grandsons? من عترة النبي, from the progeny of that prophet. There I see Rasulullah in front of me. I wish my body was cut into pieces for him. Allah, the defender of the Thaqalain. he came out onto the battlefield. They began one-on-one combat with him at the beginning. He managed to strike over 120 of them until Umar bin Saad called out, surround Zuhair ibn al-Qayn and attack him from every angle. He looked back towards his wife Daylam. He saw her standing by the tent watching his every move. Then he looked back and he saw Imam al-Hussein standing there alone by the tent with no one to protect him. He began to attack the opposition until one of them struck him on the ground and another one attacked him from behind. He was lying on the ground and he called out, Assalamu alayka Sayyidi Aba Abdullah. Imam al-Hussein ran out to Zuhair, yes? You know when he ran out to Zuhair, he held his head, yes? He was proud of him. Then he made a statement which highlighted how much he hated the opposition for what they done to Zuhair. He said, Ya Allah, may Allah curse them and raise them as pigs on the day of judgment. And that's how much they had butchered the body of Zuhair on the 10th of Muharram. But there's a narration which hurts. You know what the first one is? The narration mentions that it was the night of the 11th of Muharram. All of these dead companions were on the ground, yes? Their bodies were lying there. Habib on one side, Zuhair on another, Muslim on another, John on another, the 11-year-old boy on another. All of them were lying on the ground. The narration mentions that Daylam, the wife of Zuhair, she was walking outside of her tent, yes? She had a white piece of cloth with her, yes? So she came towards her servant. She said, oh my servant, can you take this piece of cloth? The servant said to her, why? She said, I want you to go and look for Zuhair's body, yes? I want you to go and cover the body of my husband. I can't bear to have my husband's body laying there like that. So this servant went out on the plains of Karbala, brothers and sisters. She went out, she began to look for Zuhair's body. Then a few moments later, she returned back to Daylam. Daylam looked at her. She said to her, did you cover my husband's body? The servant began to cry. She said, no, I didn't. She said to her, why? She said, because as I was looking for your husband's body, I saw the body of Aba Abdullah lying there with no one to cover him. I thought to myself, how could I cover your husband's body when the son of Fatima al-Zahra has no one to cover his body? Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to raise us with Muhammad and Al Muhammad. Ya Allah, allow us to be amongst those who hold on to the Thaqalain, the Quran and the Ahlul Bayt. Ya Allah, allow us to protect the Quran and the Ahlul Bayt. Ya Allah, allow us to spread the word of the Quran and the Ahlul Bayt. Ya Allah, for all those who have been deceived with the Quran and Sunnati, let them see the light of the Quran and Ahlul Bayt. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the Surah Al-Fatiha, but before it the loudest of your salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa Muhammad. Maliki yawm al-din.
Hussein, 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 Ya Hussein, 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 Ya Hussein, 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 Ya Hussein, Hussein, Husseina, Hussein, Husseina, Hussein, Husseina, Ya Hussein. Hussein, Husseina, Hussein, Husseina,
Hussein, Husseina, Ya Hussein.
Hussein, Husseina, Hussein, Husseina, Hussein, Husseina,
Ya Hussein.
Allahu Akbar, this is the call of Ali Akbar for as-salah. Allahu Akbar, this is the call of
Ali Akbar for as-salam.
Ali Akbar for as-salah. You be the witness, he has the surah. You be the witness, he has the surah. He has the seerah of Mustafa. You be the witness, he has the surah. He has the seerah of Mustafa. Hussein, Husseina, Hussein, Husseina, Hussein, Husseina, Ya Hussein.
Hussein, Husseina, Hussein, Husseina, Hussein, Husseina, Ya Hussein.
Forgive me, Mawla, I am the one who severed your access to Al-Qamar.
Forgive me, Mawla, I am the one who severed your access to Al-Qamar.
Severed your access to Al-Qamar. Severed your access to Al-Qamar. Hurayriyahi, you are the free one. Hurayriyahi, you are the free one. In both the dunya and akhirah. Hurayriyahi, you are the free one. In both the dunya and akhirah. Hussein, Husseina, Hussein, Husseina, Hussein, Husseina, Ya Hussein. Hussein, Husseina, Hussein, Husseina, Hussein, Husseina, Ya Hussein. Oh Aka, let me go fetch some water for thirsty children from Al-Furat.
Oh Aka, let me go fetch some water for thirsty children from Al-Furat.
Oh Aka, let me go fetch some water for thirsty children from Al-Furat.
Oh Aka, let me go fetch some water for thirsty children from Al-Furat.
For thirsty children from Al-Furat. Oh, will you come back, Ya Qamar Hashim? Oh, will you come back, Ya Qamar Hashim? Or will this be to your Al-Wida? Oh, will you come back, Ya Qamar Hashim? Or will this be to your Al-Wida? Hussein, Husseina, Hussein, Husseina,
Hussein, Husseina, Ya Hussein.
Hussein, Husseina, Hussein, Husseina,
Hussein, Husseina, Ya Hussein.
Ya Ammu, tell me, will I be counted among the martyrs of Karbala?
Ya Ammu, tell me, will I be counted among the martyrs of Karbala?
Among the martyrs of Karbala. Oh nephew Qasim, you are a hero. Oh nephew Qasim, you are a hero. You are the Warith of Mujtaba. Oh nephew Qasim, you are a hero. You are the Warith of Mujtaba. Hussein, Husseina, Hussein, Husseina,
Hussein, Husseina, Ya Hussein.
Hussein, Husseina, Hussein, Husseina,
Hussein, Husseina, Ya Hussein.
Ya Ummi, I hear my father calling. Hal min Nasir yansuruna.
Ya Ummi, I hear my father calling. Hal min Nasir yansuruna.
Ya Ummi, I hear my father calling. Hal min Nasir yansuruna.
Ya Ummi, I hear my father calling. Hal min Nasir yansuruna.
Hal min Nasir yansuruna. I may be asghar, my heart is akbar.
I may be asghar, my heart is akbar. I am the grandson of Murtaza. I may be asghar, my heart is akbar. I am the grandson of Murtaza. Hussain, Hussaina, Hussain, Hussaina, Hussain, Hussaina, Ya Hussain. Hussain, Hussaina, Hussain, Hussaina, Hussain, Hussaina, Ya Hussain.
This is the manzil of Mutmainna. This is the moment of Inna Lillah.
This is the manzil of Mutmainna. This is the moment of Inna Lillah.
This is the manzil of Mutmainna. This is the moment of Inna Lillah.
This is the manzil of Mutmainna. This is the moment of Inna Lillah.
This is the moment of Inna Lillah. Lower me into Nashib Sahara.
Lower me into Nashib Sahara, to Ummi Zahra, Uzul Jana. Lower me into Nashib Sahara, to Ummi Zahra, Uzul Jana. Hussain, Hussaina, Hussain, Hussaina, Hussain, Hussaina, Ya Hussain. Hussain, Hussaina, Hussain, Hussaina, Hussain, Hussaina, Ya Hussain.
Oh Father Aina, oh Father Aina, this is your daughter, this is Sakina.
Oh Father Aina, oh Father Aina, this is your daughter, this is Sakina.
This is your daughter, this is Sakina. My heart is broken, my wounds are open.
My heart is broken, my wounds are open. Oh Ammu Abba Seba Wafa. My heart is broken, my wounds are open. Oh Ammu Abba Seba Wafa. Hussain, Hussaina, Hussain, Hussaina, Hussain, Hussaina, Ya Hussain. Hussain, Hussaina, Hussain, Hussaina, Hussain, Hussaina, Ya Hussain.
You are the martyr we venerate, your tragedy we commemorate.
You are the martyr we venerate, your tragedy we commemorate.
You are the martyr we venerate, your tragedy we commemorate.
You are the martyr we venerate, your tragedy we commemorate.
Your tragedy we commemorate. We are the Shia, we are your Ummah.
We are the Shia, we are your Ummah. We are the students of Karbala. We are your Shia, we are your Ummah. We are the students of Karbala. Hussain, Hussaina, Hussain, Hussaina, Hussain, Hussaina, Ya Hussain. Hussain, Hussaina, Hussain, Hussaina, Hussain, Hussaina, Ya Hussain.
Ya Hussain,
Ya Hussain.
Ya